Alright, yes. Let's finish this shit up. Pardon the cutoff. I had to delete some things off the laptop to make more room for this part two. Part two. So what is your path? Right? So let's begin where the last video ended at. Okay? Any path and every path is all about self-reflection. In order to self-reflect, you first have to recognize or realize the other reality that you are, in order to be it, and then glance back upon the previous image you thought that you once were. So self-realization is basically, you have to be that other aspect of yourself first to reflect back upon that self, for self-reflection to become activated. Okay? So this is the whole point, self-reflection. You have to have a certain kind of reflection for the self to reflect off of, to look back upon. So which means you have to understand or acknowledge and give attention to that other aspect or that other reflection, which is reflecting from the self that you are, to become that, which is that spiritual aspect, to look back upon this human previous image that you thought that you once were. Okay? That's self-reflection. How the whole process of self-reflection actually happens. Okay? Now this deals with cellular intelligence, or the intelligence of a cell. Okay? Cell within your body. The very intelligence of the cell, or cellular intelligence, even the very intelligence of the cell, dealing with the whole aspect of self-reflection, or to have a reflection to be, to look back upon the self which reflected that reflection to be. This is the principal understanding, metaphysical understanding of self-reflection. Even the very intelligence of the cell, or cellular intelligence, is the very act and epitome of self-reflection. How so? Because each cell splits itself into two even halves of itself constantly. So even the intelligence and the actions and or doings of your cell and or cells splits itself into two even halves, or two even halves of itself at a certain moment of constance, to create the visible you that you appear to be. Right? So what does this mean, Blue? This means that even the intelligence of your cell knows about the spiritual understanding of self-reflection. Self-reflection is also cell reflection. So self-reflection is also cell reflection. And the F at the end just means force. So the cellular force reflection, or the force of the cellular intelligence reflected back upon itself to make two even halves of itself, right? Which is why when you got cells, you see one cell turns into two cells turn into four cells turn into eight cells turn into 16, 16 turns into 32, etc., so on and so on and so on. It constantly creates a perfect new pair or pairing of itself as a reflection and projection of its past pair. So even if you don't know what to do, understand what your cells are doing. On the metaphysical understanding, understand what your souls and what your soul is doing. Self-reflection. Self-reflection is cell-reflection. Cell force. Or the fierce forward of a cell forwarding itself as the forthcoming of itself has to have a perfectly split paired reflection of itself. You see, this is the science, this is the seance. Where science ends, spirituality begins. It's an old metaphysical term. In a way of understanding, it is a biological agent of perfection. And by perfection, I mean an intelligent creator of identical reflection, which, according to biological terminology and biological terms of understanding, is known as the term mitosis. And when cells were first seen to split into perfect halves of itself, like the one split into two, the two split into four, the four split into eight, the 8 made a perfect split, made 16, the 16 made a perfect split, made 32. It constantly makes a perfect reflection of itself. This was known under the microscope as, looking at something in the microscope, as mitosis. Mitosis was done by a thing called electron demography. Look it up yourself. Electron demography. This was the first microscopic witnessing of the cell splitting itself into even halves of itself. Okay? This was the first eyeball witnessing of something at a cellular level, at a cellular intelligence. To microscopically identify the intelligent splitting or dividing of the cell into the multitudes of itself through divisional intelligence. Divisional intelligence. Divisional intelligence. Okay? So, which was known as the term mitosis. Well, what does mitosis mean in the metaphysical understanding? How am I supposed to understand that with the cult mind? Okay, well, mitosis means to give birth to the perfected split of myself, which means mitosis means, for those who are familiar with Egypt, what we want to know is coined as Egyptology, or just our Egyptian ancestors, or the Cometian ancestors, or what we know about, our ancient elders in that landmass which is now known as Egypt, which is nothing but Kemet. Mitosis means to meet Isis, or the meeting of Isis and Osiris, because Osis is Osiris and Osis is also Isis. So Mitosis, or the mighty force of Isis, or the mighty force of Osiris, or the meeting of Isis with Osiris, or the meeting of Osiris with Isis. The two halves, two perfect halves, male and female, masculine and feminine principle. The point and penetration. See, the reception and the injector. But what is this about? For what? To bring about the perfect Heru, which is the child, or the third point of the triangle. The trying of angles, the trying of aspects, the trying of perceptions, of understanding this ancient technology, which is deeply embedded microscopically within the cellular intelligence of your soul. At a microscopic understanding and looking at it through the human eyeball, which validates the eye, which is where the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus gland as well is located, which is also the three crowns as well, the three kings, the three crowns, the 3 points of reference. So the meeting of Isis and Osiris, the mitosis, which is the electron demography, coined from witnessing the eyeball, witnessing the first time of the splitting of cells or cellular intelligence at play. It's known as mitosis. They call it mitosis because it's the meeting of Osiris, or the meeting of Isis, or the meeting and or joining of Isis and Osiris to bring about the perfect third point, or the third point of reference, which is Heru. We'll break that down from there. Well, Heru, since she's giving birth to your child, Heru is her you, meaning her version of you. That's her version as the divine incubator of you, the divine penetrator. See? Mitosis to meet Osiris. Mitosis to meet Isis. The meeting of Osiris and Isis. Dealing with ancient mythology. In correspondence, in direct correspondence or symbiotic correspondence with your human biology. Ancient mythology in direct correspondence, symbiotic correspondence with your human biology, which is nothing but spirituality. Okay, this is the meeting where science ends, spirituality begins, which is the validation of the mythology or the history, which is the mystery. Okay, this is the mystery behind the history. Next line of doorway is the path is known as the path of the heart. This path or your path is known as the path of the heart. Because the heart is where the beating resides, right? Where the beating resides. It resides right here. It's where the beating resides at. The path is known as the heart, as a path of the heart, because the heart is where the beating resides. And where the beating resides is where the source of the intelligence of the midichlorian resides. Once again, resorting right back to the understanding of your path is also in relation with your midichlorian, right? Is also where the source of the intelligence of the midichlorian resides. The path of full circle. You depart in order to arrive. You negate in order to magnetize. You decompose in order to recompose. Purification through putrefaction. Like the elder Hammett once coined, understood. You return in order to relearn. You recognize in order to reorganize. So that's your path. Return in order to reburn. Recognize, acknowledge, and recognize in order to reorganize. Okay. The next line in our doorway is what we know of or identify as death. Before I go there, when I'm talking about the meaning of Osiris and Isis, even if you look at the word path, right? Look at the word path, P-A-T-H. Did you know or do you know that one of the principles or one of the God energies, or what they call God energies, which is a principle as well, or a energy, an entity composed of principles. This is what the ancestors touched upon. The word path, P-A-T-H, is also the name Ptah, which is P-T-A-H. So the word P-A-T-H is the same thing as the world of P-T-A-H, or the entity and energy. Energy and entity composed of nothing but principle or principality or principle or the understanding of principle, which is the God Ptah. And Ptah was he was known as the maker, the creator, craftsman, sculptor. So the path, Ptah, path, it's a making and a creating, a divine making, a divine creating, and a divine sculpting of something which was made already pre-made for you. All you have to do is walk the damn path. Because the path was made for you by an energy and a force and principle known or named or emanated as a vibration and an energy and a sound and a pronunciation entitled Ptah. P-A-T-H is the same thing as the God-Ptah. Okay, when we look at Ptah, Ptah is also Hotep backwards. Hotep is another understanding as well. It's another god or energy or entity composed of nothing but principle and principality and understanding of principles. Hotep, Ptah, Ptah, Hotep. Hotep was another thing. He was a master, dealing with a divine offering to the dead or the deceased, or the crossover, according to this understanding. Yeah, he was a builder, um, symbolic of satisfaction, peace. See, these are all energies which were kind of deified as entities to give a name or emanation or pronunciation to its presence in order to bring about this manifestation. See, I just wanted to say that because the word path is also Ptah. And look up Ptah, and whatever you get from it is what you're supposed to receive from that understanding, from that deity, or that form of worship or devotion that we once indulged within, which is actually resides within us right now as we speak in this very moment, the energy. Next line of the doorway is, getting back to it, what we know of or identify as death is just a completion of a written book, or a fully recorded tape or fully recorded DVD, ready to be watched for review. So what we know of or identify, right, as death is just a completion of a written book, a fully recorded tape or a fully recorded DVD ready to be watched for review by the divine eye. Okay? An experience which has fully experienced and has met its inevitable expirational point and purpose, ready for its divine return back to its unfathomable source of existence. What source of existence? The primary epitomorian of all, any, every, and never. If you can fathom the understanding of what I'm saying. Now, listen, that doesn't make any sense. It kind of doesn't make sense. I kind of get it, but I kind of can't grasp it at the same time. What I'm saying doesn't make sense and ain't supposed to. How so? How can something which is you try to make sense or make a sense as the made sense or made sensory? There's no need to make sense or make a sense if the sense is already made for you. Right? The sense is already made for you. What are you making sense for? There's no need to try to make sense of what's already made. Okay? There's no need to make sense or make a sense if the sense is already made for you. Just be and all will arrive. All will appear. All will manifest as intended, as expected, as unexpected as well. You just have to use or utilize what's been already made for you and transcend beyond the boundaries of it. Understand this. The invisible immortal, the invisible immortal, appeared itself as a visible mortal in order to come back in contact and into a returning realization with its own immortality. Okay? So, like I said, some of this may not make sense to you at this very moment, which means that it's surpassing the filter of your conscious mind and finding home and residence and covenants within your subconscious mind, which means that when it becomes into your subconscious mind of what I'm talking about and making points based upon the path, what is your path, you will become an actionary thing, an involuntary thing in the subconscious mind because it's surpassing your conscious mind. You're like, what is this nigga talking about? Like, damn, this shit is too deep for me right now. I'm mad high right now. I'm mad drunk. Or I'm around people right now. I'm around noise and interruptions and distractions. How am I supposed to take understanding of the path that this brother is telling me right now in this video? It may be surpassing your conscious mind or what you call your frontal lobe, which is fine. Even if you're falling asleep this video, it's perfectly fine, which means that it's finding home and residence. It's finding an abode, a covenant within your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is what you do without knowing that you're doing it, like tying your shoes, brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, washing up. You don't have to do this anymore because it became a program. Your subconscious mind is the programming aspect of your reality, or of the functions and operation of the mind. So it doesn't have to make sense to your conscious mind at this very moment, or your conscious forefront, or your conscious dimension. It just has to find residence and home in your subconscious mind, that you already become this actionary. So me talking this is already a re-navigation to you already navigating with your own guidance according to your own path. So, in other words, it's fine if none of this shit makes sense to you. It's not really supposed to make sense to you. It's not really supposed to sit in your frontal lobe. Let it find home in your cerebellum, your cerebellum, or your pons medulla, or something like that. What they call this, or the hippocampus is at in the brain. You can look at all these names I'm saying and check it out for yourself. Okay, you are the sense made, trying to make sense. If you are already the sense which is made, there's no really need to try to make sense of what I'm kicking at this moment. Okay, it's all right. But later on, you might run this video back a few times and then you might get it. At this very moment, it might not sit in, it might not marinate, and it might not turn, might not serenade with you at this moment, but it's finding home within you, whether you know it or not, at this very moment. Okay, next doorway is about 1 or 2 more doorways. The next doorway is with every breath that you're taking in and putting out, with every breath, validates a closer relationship with death. With every breath, validates a closer relationship with death. Through that beautiful, close relationship you now have with death, you begin to reach a certain depth. Death and depth is the same damn symbol, same damn orchestration of symbols, which is what you call the letters in a word. Okay? With every breath, validates a closer relationship that you now have with death. Through that beautiful, close relationship you now have with death, you begin to reach a certain depth. A depth of what? A hollow or hollowed point of reference, which is the midichlorian, contact, the cosmic pulse, beat, and tone of a pure nothingness. So this is what I reach with death, and death points me to a depth, and the depth brings me to a hollow, or a hollowed point of reference. I'm saying hello now. I'm acknowledging. Hollow is saying hello. I'm saying hello now. I'm acknowledging a certain hollowed point of reference. And that point of reference is when I make or when I reach the midichlorian contact or contact with my midichlorian intelligence. Yes. Which is the cosmic pulse, the cosmic beat, the cosmic tone of pure nothingness. And another way of understanding it, it is the solar sinkhole. So hopefully you guys are familiar with a sinkhole. Sinkholes are like a floor or ground that's been there and made of strong material and ain't going nowhere, and all of a sudden that shit just sinks. You got cars in the street, cars in what you call concrete or stone or brick on strong ground. It's real strong, stable ground. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just starts to break, and then just a sinking occurs. And these cars that were on this platform just start to go down. And people who are standing on the ground start to fall down in this sinkhole. So, in other words of understanding that hollow point of reference that you meet within yourself and make that contact with your midichlorian intelligence, in a metaphorical way of understanding of it, it is a solar sinkhole, or the sinkhole in your soul. When you meet your soul, you meet your sinkhole, which is your solar sinkhole, which is meeting the epitomal point of the intelligence of your midichlorian. Okay? A sinking-like action of the consciousness and attention. It's a sinking-like action, of your consciousness and your attention. Where am I sinking to? Where am I going towards? What's happening? Towards a bottomless pit of an unknown intelligence quietly awaiting your arrival. For what? To redirect your attention towards divine path. So when you reach that bottomless pit, which there is no reaching because there's no bottom, but there is a point when some kind of point of reference is met or made in contact with you, and you make contact with it. And at that point of contact, it automatically redirects your attention towards your divine path. Find your hidden and sacred aspect of yourself, okay? The last line in doorway is, according to the path, the divine message. Your divine message is within your path and your calling. The divine message is received through the divine massage. So your divine message is interconnected with your divine massage. I'm like, massage? What you mean? I gotta see a masseuse for this shit to become spiritual? No. The divine message is received through the divine massage. Massaging of what? The massaging of the heart or heart muscle or cardiac muscle, which is both smooth and striated. It's a striated muscle and smooth muscle. Your stomach has smooth muscle. Your arms have striated muscle, which are stripe-like muscle. Okay, striated means stripe. Stripe muscle, smooth muscles of the stomach. You don't feel those stripes on the stomach because it's a smooth muscle and this is striated muscle. But the heart, the cardiac muscle, the heart is a muscle. The heart, which is the cardiac muscle, is both smooth and striated. It is the unification of all. Okay? So, the divine message of your path and your calling is received through the divine massage. The massaging of the heart or the heart muscle or cardiac muscle, which is received. How is it received? It's received by doing absolutely nothing but being still, being silent, and just breathing. That's how the message is received, by being still, being silent, and just breathing. That's how the message is received, through the divine massage. The massaging of the heart. How does the heart get massaged? Let's look a little bit deeper. The heart gets massaged when I said through stillness, silence, and breathing. When you're still and you're silent and you're just breathing. See, as my shoulders rise as I'm breathing. What does that mean? That means my lungs are expanding. As they expand, they lift up the shoulder muscles and expand the rib cage. As this breathing, stillness, silence, most importantly, the breathing, as these lungs go in and out, contract, constrict, contract, constrict. The heart in the middle gets massaged. Now you understand? The message is in the massage. Massage, message, message, massage. As the lungs, you breathe in and out, you're massaging the heart. As you massage the heart, you receive the divine message. Okay? From this point, you are now able, from this point of massaging the heart, which is being still, shutting the hell up, and just breathing. From this point, from this very point, you are now able to answer the call. Well, what call? Oh, my calling. Exactly. Which is to make contact with the ancestor in the cell, or the ancestral cell, because that specific ancestral cellular intelligence holds and or possesses the pulsating cosmic Morse code that sends the supreme signal to the spirit and through the spirit that makes it possible for you to answer the call, or for you to answer the call, or for you to answer your calling. And every time you can't or don't answer the call, it always leaves a message. So basically, to answer the call is to come in contact with the ancestor in the cell. Answer the call, ancestor in the cell. So when you answer the call, you're coming in contact with the ancestor in the cell. And if you miss the call, if you're not aware at the moment that this cosmic intelligent pulse is happening, it always leaves a message in the heart. And you get that message with the massage, just by being still, being silent, and breathing. The contracting and constricting of the lungs. Expanding, inflating. Expanding, going through these contract and constrict. The process of contracting, constricting. Blowing up, getting small, blowing up, getting small, and all that happens with these two balloons on the side, which you call lungs, massages the heart. And this is why meditation and being still and being silent and being nothing and empty brings about this phenomenal occurrence. It's what they call a divine message, or the calling, or the spiritual gnosis, or knowing of thyself. Okay? So, one more time. From this point, you are now able to answer the call, which is to make contact with the ancestor in the cell, or the ancestral cell, because that specific ancestral cellular intelligence holds and or possesses the pulsating cosmic Morse code that sends the supreme signal to the spirit and through the spirit that makes it possible for you to answer the call or your calling on your path. And every time, just in case you can't or don't answer that call, that specific call, that call always leaves a message. So how do I get that message if I miss the call? Just pick up your phone. Just pick up your phone. Just pick up your phone. Metaphorically. Which means to pick up on the phonic. To pick up your phone means to pick up on the phonic or the phonics. Sound, vibration, tone, the beat, the pulse, the width, the rhythm, the vibration. You can pick up on that. Just in case you missed the call. Last but not least, the ancestor, which is the ancestor. Because ancestor is spelled Ancestor. So Ance, ANCE dash store, STOR. The ancestor. Metaphorically is the answer store, or the store of answers, or internal storage of answers and divine answerings. Ancestor, like ancestor, ancestor is also the answering star within your cosmic body. Your whole body is a universe within itself, which is why it's pure blackness. You can't look inside your body. If you look inside your body, you're going to see nothing but pure blackness and sparks going off and synapses from neuron to neuron and electrical impulses from throughout your nervous system. So you're going to see nothing but electrical sparks up here and electrical sparks down here and throughout the body. And pure darkness, just like light specks inside the universe and the cosmos when you look out there. Out there is in here. That's a holographic universe. It's no universe or star, not above us. The universe is not just above us. It's around us. It's below us. It's behind us. It's in front of us. And most importantly, it's within us. That is a hologram, which was known as the holographic universe. When you look out there, over there, in front of you, behind you, underneath you, and you're looking at what you see as space. Space is underneath you. The universe is underneath you. The universe is to your left. The universe is to your right. The universe is in front of you. And the universe is behind you.